Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's explainer. We're going to be unpacking a truly fascinating, deeply reflective piece of writing today. We're exploring a 2023 philosophical treatise by an author named Xu Feng. The title is, well, it's pretty literal, but it carries a ton of weight. My personal views on life, aging, sickness, and death, and instructions. What we've got here is a rare, completely unfiltered look into how someone conceptually structures their own mortality, their aging process, and ultimately, their peaceful surrender to the end of life. It's an absolutely remarkable framework for understanding the human journey, and we're going to break his philosophy down step by step so we can really grasp the core of his message.
So Xu Feng starts by establishing a baseline reality. He writes, life is fraught with constant dangers and uncertainties. Sounds kind of bleak at first, right? But he actually wants us to pause and recognize just how frail and unpredictable human existence literally is. I mean, from the second we're born, we're navigating a world just packed with risks, illnesses, and random chance. By acknowledging this right out of the gate, he isn't being pessimistic. Actually, scratch that. He's setting the stage to show us just how incredible it is when we actually do survive the gauntlet of human life.
Which brings us right to this big question. How do you define a completed life? Is it, achieving a massive career milestone, having a certain amount of cash in the bank, or maybe it's seeing your grandkids grow up? Keep this question in the back of your mind as we go through this explainer. Because for Xu Feng, a completed life isn't necessarily tied to some endless checklist of worldly accomplishments. Instead, it's tied to a very specific, profound milestone of sheer survival and sensory experience.
Part 1. The Milestone of 60, a Great Destiny. This is where he starts laying out his personal timeline for a fulfilled existence. 60. Now, in a lot of modern cultures, turning 60 is, well, it's sometimes viewed with a bit of dread, isn't it? It's seen as the doorway to old age, or maybe just a reminder that retirement is looming. But Xu Feng completely flips this narrative on its head. In his treatise, Safely Making It to 60 is definitely not the beginning of the end. It's a monumental achievement. Remember how we just talked about life being fraught with constant dangers? Well, reaching 60 completely unharmed is characterized here as a great destiny. It's literally the ultimate victory of simply surviving.
Now, what's really interesting about this is where Xu Feng directs his emotions once he hits this milestone. He doesn't credit his diet, or his workout routine, or even modern medicine. Instead, he's just filled with profound gratitude toward a spiritual entity he calls the ancestor of Buddha or the greatest creator. To be clear, our goal here in this explainer isn't to evaluate the theology itself, but just to observe how the spiritual framework works for him. This immense gratitude for the grace he's been given adds a deeply divine context to his survival. He didn't just stumble his way to 60, he was allowed to make it to 60 unharmed.
Part 2. A completed life cycle. Sensory fulfillment. So once you hit that milestone of 60, what exactly happens next? I absolutely love how he breaks this down. He argues that by the time you're 60, your life cycle is complete, and he measures this completion purely through sensory fulfillment. Think about it. By 60, you've eaten what you should eat, you've heard what you should hear, you've seen what you should see, and experienced all you needed to experience. It's incredibly grounding, isn't it? He just strips away all those complex, heavy societal expectations about legacy and success and boils a fulfilled life down to having simply absorbed enough of the world through your senses. Once that sensory checklist is full, the journey is deemed completely fulfilled.
Part 3. The Laws of Nature. Releasing the Craving. Because recognizing your life is fulfilled is really only half the battle.
Here, Xu Feng makes a super clear, objective statement. Life, aging, illness, and death are natural laws. He totally gets that everyone has their own unique way of dealing with these stages. Some folks fight aging tooth and nail, right? Others might try endless medical treatments to dodge illness. But for Xu Feng, these are just inevitable laws of nature. They aren't punishments. They're literally just the mechanics of the universe that we all have to accept.
And this brilliantly illustrates the internal tug-of-war we all face. On one side, we've got craving life. And Xu Feng is super gentle about this. He points out that craving life is a perfectly natural human instinct. It's completely acceptable, and he says it's absolutely not subject to criticism. It is totally okay to want to live. But on the flip side, we have spiritual ascension. For people who are specifically dedicated to enlightenment, to ascending toward heaven, immortality, or Buddhahood, that exact same natural desire to live actually becomes a massive roadblock. You simply cannot achieve ultimate spiritual release if you're fiercely clinging to your physical existence.
This realization right here,
This is the pivot point of his entire treatise. Because this desire to cling to life can obstruct the path to spiritual ascension, Zhu Feng makes a very conscious, very deliberate choice. He chooses not to crave life. And this isn't coming from a place of despair or sadness, not at all. It's a highly calculated spiritual decision. He is actively letting go of that basic human instinct for self-preservation to clear the runway for his spiritual goals. It's an honestly remarkable level of dedication to enlightenment.
Part 4. Embracing the next journey, a divine reward. This leads us right into his final conclusions.
This is where his philosophy comes full circle. Because he's reached 60, because his sensory life is completely fulfilled, and because he's actively chosen to stop craving physical existence, his whole view of an early death completely transforms. If he happens to embark early on the journey to heaven, he doesn't see it as a tragedy. No way. He views it as a divine reward. It's an immense blessing. He has completely reframed the end of life from something we usually fear into this highly fortunate promotion to the next spiritual realm.
And so, he leaves us with his final instructions, summed up in this beautiful sentiment that one should gracefully accept nature's course and embark on the next journey. And the absolute key word there is gracefully. No fighting it, no bitterness. He explicitly states that these are his instructions, and he really hopes that everyone reading them will understand and honor his wishes. Whenever his transition comes, he wants it to be peaceful, he wants it completely unburdened by the grief or the interventions of those who might still be caught up in that human instinct of craving life on his behalf.
So, the crucial question we're left with today is this. Are you prepared to accept nature's course with that same grace? Zhu Feng's treatise is just such a powerful reminder of how our mindset shapes our reality. By defining fulfillment so simply, showing profound gratitude for survival, and consciously letting go of the craving for more time, he turns the scary prospect of mortality into a peaceful, even rewarding transition. It's a truly profound lens to view our own aging process through. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive, and I really hope this explainer leaves you with a fascinating new perspective to chew on in your own life.